At weight, at 154, how you think Crawford did?
You know, they are a weight class for a reason, and you need to ask him. It's different. I know in his mind he thinks he can do whatever he wants because he's very talented fighter.
I think Canelo's gonna put the beats on him like Dr. Dre.
Do we get a knockdown from Canelo, or does Bud knock down Canelo?
Nah, Canelo's not going down. You could hit Canelo with a Louisville slugger. He's just gonna smile at you.
They ain't say gonna beat him like.
The rivalry between Crawford and Canelo has reached a breaking point, and it's no longer just about their upcoming fight in September. What was meant to be a professional build-up to one of the biggest boxing matches in recent history took a dramatic turn today after a heated confrontation at an airport.
With Crawford going up, I believe he can put a beating on anybody 154, 160.
But not 68.
Nah, Benavidez is...
No, Canelo. Yeah.
Canelo, I think he's a smart fighter. He doesn't rely on his power. Crawford ain't a fighter who just relies on his power.
Crawford, who had already made it clear he has no respect for Canelo, took things a step further today. During a heated argument, he grabbed the Mexican superstar by the collar and pushed him.
What about Crawford?
Crawford got Canelo, bro. He got to worry about the big Mexican, bro. He got to worry about Canelo Alvarez.
Your new stablemate, so give us a prediction then.
Prediction? It's boxing, though. I got Canelo stopping him. Too big, bro.
Any way you think?
I'm not going to speak for Canelo's team, but me and my father already insisted in sparring Canelo for Crawford. Like, actually sparring, because I know one thing is that they're going to want to, their game plan is to box Canelo, and we the best boxers there is, bro. But we going to...
No one saw this coming, especially not this early. Sure, Crawford has always made it clear he's coming for Canelo's crown. He's been outspoken, calling Canelo overrated and saying he'll expose him in the ring. But putting his hands on him before the fight even happens? That's a whole new level. Canelo was ready to fight back, but before he could, people stepped in to separate them. If anyone thought this was just about titles and legacy, they've got it wrong. Crawford just made it crystal clear, he's not here to mess around.
You know, because you gotta look good in order for you won't mess up your next fight. Because if you fight this guy, you don't look good. The fans, I don't want. He's not gonna look good and win with this guy. You gotta constantly have fights that you know a fighter guy's gonna make you look good. The guy gotta pressure you or something. You know, this guy's running around. Crawford's not used to this kind of movement and
weird
stuff.
fit.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, all of this is happening while Canelo is in the middle of preparing for his May 2nd fight against William Skull in Saudi Arabia. That fight is supposed to solidify his dominance at super middleweight and make him undisputed again. But now, Crawford has thrown a major distraction into the mix. He's clearly not waiting until September to get into Canelo's head. The timing of this confrontation is no coincidence. Canelo should be focused on William Skull, but after today's incident, it's hard to ignore the bigger storm that's building.
You know, I don't like that fight.
Why not?
I don't like that fight. It's just too much weight. You know, and he had a close fight with the last guy he fought, Terence, because this guy was big and he was awkward. He was really awkward. He shouldn't have fought that guy. Just fought the guy.
Back in training camp, Team Crawford is working with the same intensity as always. His coach, Brian "Bomac" McIntyre, has been talking up this fight for weeks, making it clear that they're not in it just for the paycheck. "Man, these people think we're in this for the check," Crawford told McIntyre, shutting down any idea that this fight is just about money. Crawford sees Canelo as just another step in proving he's the best fighter of this generation. For him, it's about legacy, not just a payday. Bomac shares that mindset, saying, "I take nothing from Canelo, but when Bud's locked in, it's different. This isn't about the money. Bud has money and investments. He doesn't need this. But what he does need is to prove he's the best, and this fight is the icing on the cake."
Terence is not a regular guy. You know what I'm saying? He's special. And, you know, Canelo, he's a top-notch fighter, world-class fighter. Still on the pound-for-pound list, I'm sure towards somewhere near the top. And it's exciting. You know, Terence is freakishly strong. He can punch. He's got good crack. He can...
Bomac is no stranger to big fights, and he knows exactly what it takes to get a fighter ready to dominate on the biggest stage. He was there when Crawford took apart Errol Spence Jr. in their undisputed welterweight fight, a match many thought would be close but turned into a one-sided beating. Before that fight was even official, Crawford had already called his shot, saying, "I'm going to mess him up, Bo," and that's exactly what he did, knocking Spence down 3 times and stopping him in the 9th round. Crawford is bringing that same intensity to his fight with Canelo. His mindset hasn't changed. He's not here for a competitive fight, he's here to make a statement. And if today's airport altercation is any indication, Crawford isn't waiting for fight night to start showing who's in charge.
Easy work. I heard him say, I'm easy work. If I was easy work, well, you know, you would take all that money that he's offering you. But yet and still, he want 200 million for Benavidez, and he want 150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to his legacy.
Even before the airport incident, Crawford had been showing signs that he's fully committed to this fight. He's been putting on muscle, sharing pictures of his new physique, and making it clear he's serious about moving up 2 weight classes. Some people have questioned whether he can handle Canelo's power, but Crawford isn't worried. He's been hearing doubts about him his whole career and has made a habit of proving people wrong. As for Canelo, the Mexican superstar had mostly been quiet about Crawford, keeping his focus on William Skull instead. But now, after today, there's no ignoring it. Crawford has made it personal, and if Canelo wasn't already taking this fight seriously, he definitely is now. The big question is whether he can stay calm and focused leading up to September, or if Crawford has already gotten inside his head.
You know, being that you're obviously again appealing to Team Crawford, can you confirm? Are we going to see that fight? Has it been made official? Is it official?
It's on, baby. September 13, baby. Look forward to it. Crawford versus Canelo.
Who heard it?
Listen how I said it.
Hey, are we getting this confirmation here first?
You understand? Yeah, it's confirmed. Man, what?
Say less.
Crawford versus Canelo, not the other way around. Team Crawford stand up, pound for pound, the best in the world, soon to be the super.
This situation has gone beyond just boxing, it's personal now. The way Crawford is talking, he's not just aiming to win, he wants to humiliate Canelo. This fight isn't just about strategy and skill, it's about making a statement. And if today's incident is any indication, we might be witnessing one of the most intense personal rivalries in boxing in years. Bomac is already fired up for September, and he's not hiding it. I want to prove to the world again that we're the best team out there, that Terence is the best out there, he said. Everybody might think it's about the money, but no, Bud's going to beat this guy up. Watch.
The others say like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down. You know, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he's still got that kind of steam. But, you know, there's so many components that make a champion.
There's no denying it now, this fight has taken on a whole new level of intensity. What started as a historic matchup has turned into something far more heated. A few days ago, Canelo might have been focused on William Skull, but after today, he knows exactly what's waiting for him in September. If Crawford's goal was to stir things up early, he just pulled it off in the biggest way possible. Sean Porter knows firsthand what it's like to face Terence Crawford, and he's not holding back when asked about Crawford moving up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo. Porter didn't just say it's possible, he boldly stated Crawford can beat Canelo. That's not just a wild guess from an outsider, it's coming from someone who's been in the ring with Bud, felt his power, and seen his elite skills up close. And when you really think about it, what Porter said makes a lot of sense.
How effective Crawford can be to keep moving up in weight. You know, like you're starting to see that, you know, now he's not quite as strong. The knockout streak is over. But he can box really, really well. But Majimov pressed him the whole fight. So obviously the power wasn't getting the respect that he might have gotten when he was.
Crawford isn't just another skilled fighter. According to Porter, what truly sets him apart is his mentality. Porter called him the most competitive man I know, a bold statement considering Porter has shared the ring with some of the best, including Errol Spence Jr., Yadenis Ugas, Keith Thurman, and Kell Brook. In Porter's eyes, Crawford is on a different level when it comes to focus, drive, and willpower. That's why he believes Canelo could start to break down after 8 to 10 rounds. Canelo is still a great fighter, but with so many tough battles behind him, Porter thinks Crawford's relentless style could eventually wear him down.
They're 2 great pound fighters, and they feel like, you know, it makes sense and they want to fight each other. Stylistically, it's a great fight. But, you know, Canelo, he's a big dude. But I think it'd be hard for anyone to beat him at 168. But, you know, it's definitely a big money fight, and that's why.
Shakur Stevenson foresaw this years ago, and he isn't just stating it now because the fight is taking place, he has been discussing it since 2021, shortly after Crawford stopped Sean Porter. Stevenson wasn't merely making a wild guess when he said that Bud would defeat Canelo, rather, he based it on Canelo's weaknesses and style skills. Stevenson was ahead of the curve because this was even before Bivol took over Canelo in 2022.
Why Jermell Charlo was running is because he didn't get Nelo's respect. Two, Nelo was boxing so well that Charlo couldn't hit him. He was trying to touch him and move back.
The fact that Crawford can fight southpaw is one of the main reasons Stevenson believes in him. He noted that Canelo has trouble with lefties, and the fact that Canelo didn't look good despite winning and that Ryder was able to land some good shots that fight to Stevenson was proof enough that he would be a nightmare for Canelo. He went one step further and claimed to have witnessed Crawford injure heavyweight fighters in sparring. If that's the case, perhaps this size difference isn't as significant as people believe. The way that Rahman Jr. views things is a little different. What's really interesting is Rahman's opinion of Canelo's recent fights. He believes that Canelo has been taking softer fights, which has made him complacent. When Canelo fought Gerald Charlo, he dominated, but Rahman wasn't impressed because Charlo was a naturally smaller guy who wasn't throwing enough punches, which isn't going to be the case with Crawford. He believes that Crawford will win, but not by knockout. Instead, he sees Bud outboxing Canelo.
He weighed himself the other day, he was 185 pounds. He just looks scrawny in the ring. He gets down. 140, 150.
Well, 150. He just won the 154-pound title, and before that he was fighting at welterweight, which is 147. It's not like he doesn't have time to thicken up a little bit. And if he's walking around at 185, that means he probably cuts a considerable amount of weight to get down to 54. But I think he's getting thicker. And
Rahman also noted that Crawford is among the most intelligent fighters in the game. He knows how to move, control the ring, and take away his opponent's best weapons. According to Rahman, Canelo has become a little spoiled by fighting men who aren't willing to challenge him. Crawford won't be one of those men. Joe Roger isn't buying the Crawford is too small argument either.
Based on last fight is a 50-50. So Canelo fights an undisputed champ, up-and-coming former champion, and an up-and-coming undefeated contender. And somehow those three last opponents are somehow compared to Bud's Madrimov fight, making it a 50-50 fight? Wow.
He's been keeping a close eye on this fight and said it's the one he's most excited about. On his podcast, he pointed out something many don't know. Crawford recently weighed in at 185 pounds. He's no longer a small guy. And it's important to note that Crawford doesn't have to jump to 168 right away. He has time to build up slowly and get there properly.
Canelo, I think that's weird, because you'd have to gain 20 pounds. Yeah. But they say that's the money fight. That's the mega fight. That's the money fight. That's the only thing that makes sense for Terence Crawford.
Well, catch weight. Mm-hmm. You can do something at a catch weight.
What weight you think?
I 160.
One of the biggest concerns fans have is that history hasn't been kind to fighters making this kind of jump. They remember when Kell Brook moved up to fight Gennady Golovkin or when Mikey Garcia went up to face Errol Spence Jr. Both were dominated in those fights. However, Paulie Malignaggi doesn't think this matchup follows that same pattern. He brought up a historical example, Roberto Duran versus Iran Barkley in 1989.
In boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better.
Duran was a former lightweight champion who moved up to middleweight to take on Barkley, who was much bigger. Despite the size difference, Duran pulled off a split decision win, showing that skill can sometimes beat size. Malignaggi believes Crawford is the more well-rounded fighter, and the only real challenge for him is Canelo's natural size advantage.
I think a lot of Canelo fans, for some reason, they know that there's no excuse. If he loses to Bud, this is a huge mark on his resume. If he beats Bud, he does beat a very accomplished fighter in this era. But there's no ready-made excuses in this fight for Canelo. Canelo should win this fight. And Canelo hasn't been in the fight that, there's no excuses. As far as the big fight, there's no excuses. He can't look as, I was daring to be great. No, this is a fight that, on paper, Canelo should win. Even if Canelo doesn't look convincing in a win, that might be a mark on the fight itself.
So, what does the man who actually defeated Canelo have to say? Dmitry Bivol, the WBA light heavyweight champion who outclassed Canelo in 2022, believes Crawford has a real shot. But for Bivol, it's not just about power and size, it's about mindset. He discussed how fighters mentally prepare for big matches. If a fighter isn't mentally ready or doubts themselves, their body won't perform at its best. Bivol highlighted Crawford's ability to switch stances and fight from different angles as a big advantage. But most importantly, he stressed that Crawford's mentality will be key. If Crawford believes in himself and prepares the right way, Bivol sees a clear path to victory for him.
Let me tell you what I think should be going. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jermell Charlo already proved that.
At the same time, Bivol pointed out that Canelo looked much stronger against fighters like Charlo and Callum Smith. But it wasn't necessarily because of weight. He was stronger because those guys didn't truly believe they could win. That won't be the case with Crawford. The biggest factor in this fight might not be size, weight, or power, it could come down to attitude. Crawford has made it clear this fight is personal, especially after the airport altercation. It's clear this isn't just another payday for him. He's coming in with something to prove, determined to show he's the best fighter in the world, no matter the weight class. Canelo, on the other hand, has nothing left to prove. He's beaten champions across 4 weight classes, 154, 160, 168, and 175 pounds, and has already cemented his legacy. But the real question is, does he still have that hunger? If Canelo underestimates Crawford, even a little, he could be in for a tough night.
It seems like a done deal. What's your reaction to this?
It's a good fight. It's a good fight for both of them. Good fight for, I think it's more important for Crawford than anybody, but I think if anybody could beat Canelo, I think Crawford could. I think it's just, the size plays a massive difference. But, like I said, it's a good fight. I have no bad feelings for that fight. It's a good fight.
There's no part of you that's like...
Every fighter and analyst who has weighed in on this fight brings a unique perspective. Porter emphasizes Crawford's competitiveness, Stevenson points to his southpaw skills and power, Ramon highlights Canelo's potential complacency, Rogan dismisses the size concerns, Malignaggi sees a historical parallel with Duran, and Bivol stresses the importance of mindset. But they all agree on one thing: this fight isn't as simple as Canelo being bigger and winning. Crawford has always been counted out, and each time, he proves people wrong. If he does it again against Canelo, this could go down as one of the greatest victories in boxing history.
Adamov is a better fighter than Canelo as far as the dynamic and the versatility he had, but I think Canelo's pressure and ability to cut off the ring is more, and he's bigger and stronger, and I think there's a risk there for Crawford. But this is why you tune in, right? Crawford keeps doing the amazing, and you want him to end up saying, will he be able to do that once again against a Canelo? And crossover fans will buy into it.
However, others, like Teddy Atlas, have a different take. Speaking on the Ring Magazine podcast, Atlas broke down the fight from both perspectives, starting with the size difference and how Crawford performed at 154 pounds against Israil Madrimov last year. You can make arguments on both sides. Canelo's too big, and Crawford, as good as he is, stepped up against Madrimov and struggled a little, Atlas said. He pointed out that people were quick to criticize Crawford after the Madrimov fight, not because he performed poorly, but because expectations were so high. According to Atlas, what many fans overlooked was that Madrimov was simply better than most people realized. They didn't fully know how good Madrimov was, and because of that, they began to criticize Crawford. But Atlas argued that this was unfair and wrong.
A lot of people that say that Crawford can beat Canelo, no problem. I mean, I respect that, but I just think they're stupid. I mean, excuse my language. The size difference of a bigger man changes everything with one punch. And I can see the same thing. I mean, you saw Canelo.
This is where Atlas took a different approach from most analysts. Instead of focusing solely on the physical advantages Canelo has, his size, power, and experience at super middleweight, he flipped the argument and highlighted why Crawford might actually have the edge. Atlas pointed out that throughout boxing history, smaller fighters have found ways to beat bigger ones. That's a key point, he said, pointing to examples like Sugar Ray Leonard defeating Marvin Hagler and Manny Pacquiao dominating larger opponents in his prime. According to Atlas, boxing has a long history of smaller, more skilled fighters pulling off wins against bigger foes. Clip 22. Atlas then broke down the specific advantages Crawford has. He reversed the argument, saying, yeah, the size and power of Canelo, but then added, wait a minute, the other guy's faster, the other guy's craftier, the other guy has more options, is slicker, maybe he's got the advantages. Atlas emphasized that it's not just about physical attributes, it's about skill, fight IQ, and versatility. He believes Crawford's ability to switch stances, control distance, and adjust during the fight gives him a real chance to win. He even compared the fight to the biblical story of David and Goliath, saying, "I always wanted to see David and Goliath live, didn't you? Well, get ready to watch it."
Because what you would say is this, is that Terence Crawford is coming up 2-3 weight classes, something like that. And this is an advantage for Canelo. And Canelo has a lot of experience, especially at this weight class. This is two, pound for pound top fighters, whoever you want to pick. It could be Canelo.
Floyd, what do you think about the fight? Crawford Magdalene says it's gonna be a good fight. Think the winner should get Canelo?
Sir.
This ain't about them right now.
That comparison says it all. Atlas knows this will be a tough fight, but he believes Crawford has something special. "I'm one of the people that thinks Crawford is very, very special," he said. "I'm not saying Canelo's not, but I think Crawford is special in a different way. He's got instincts that not everyone has, the timing, the X factor, the intangibles, and I think they're going to show themselves." Clip 24. Crawford is taking a huge risk, but many believe his skill, speed, and mentality give him a real shot. While Canelo has the size and power, Crawford's adaptability and fight IQ could make all the difference. If he pulls off the win, it would be one of the greatest upsets in boxing history. What do you think? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to subscribe for more updates.